Hey y'all, welcome back. It's MJ here, Just Plain Fun, and I wanted to put together a video today and talk specifically about the type study and cover type 15s, because in my experience as a part seller, the most common misdiagnosis for determining type is folks tending to think that their plane is a type 15 when in fact it is not. So I'm going to cover some of the, I guess, do's and don'ts, some of the different ways that you can follow the type study, look at your plane, etc., and make sure that you're determining the correct type. So that way, when you go to order parts, whether it's from me or on eBay or wherever else, you're getting the right stuff to match your plane. This won't replace the Type 15 installment of the type study series that I'm working on, but it'll augment that and other levels. And just like always, when I'm talking about the type study, of course, I have to refer y'all to P. Tampia. Y'all have heard me say this if this is not the first type study video of mine that you're watching, but patented transitional metallic planes in America, and the original type study by Roger K. Smith. And specifically, like I said, we're going to be talking about type 15 right there. If you get a chance to pick up a copy, even a gnarly copy like this, I highly recommend it. It's going to cost you a few pennies, but it's definitely worth it. Let me go ahead and take y'all through a typical scenario that we've all done. So if you go to the website woodandshop.com, you can Google Stanley Hand Plane type study and it'll come up as one of the first results. So you go to Wood and Shop and you follow the logic tree there. So if I was typing this number 7 right here, the first thing it's going to ask is, how many patent dates do you have behind the frog? And as you can see, there are 0. So I'm going to say 0, and it'll say, okay, you have either a type 1 through 8 or a type 15 through 20. So it would ask me, do you have a raised ring underneath the knob? And I'll look here and I'll say, yes, that's a raised ring. And I'll go, yes. So it'll say, okay, you have type 15 through 20. And it'll ask me if the bed is painted dark blue. This one is obviously not dark blue. It's japanned, it's black. And so I'll say no. And it'll tell me, okay, it's not a type 20, it's a type 15 through 19. And at that point, it will say, okay, do you see a raised rib on the toe and heel? And as you can see, there is no raised rib. And so right there, it's going to tell me, okay, you have a type 15. So made between 1931 and 1932. Well, as those of you that are in the know, you know that this is not a type 15. And I'm going to go through the reasons why that is here in just a moment. And that single question of, do you see the raised rib at the heel and toe, is what steers everybody wrong, or steers a lot of folks wrong. This is what it looks like. This is what you're looking for that raised rib right here on the heel and on the toe. And now let's go through a couple of other things to help you better distinguish what's what when it comes to typing. The main thing that we always have to remember is that Roger K. Smith based the entire type study on strictly the number 4s. That's why I have these lined up right here. And I'm going to actually go through and just talk about some general type study stuff here in just a moment. But this is your type 15, your type 16, your type 17, and then your type 18. And of course, I could show you the 19 as well. When I'm done with the entire type study, I will probably lay most of them out. And I'll just take y'all through and show you on, probably on the number 4s. But that's a video for another day. For now, we're talking about this number 7, and we have to go back and look, and what you would have to do is you would have to say yes to the raised rib, even though it's not there, in order to properly type this plane. At that point, you would say yes. It would say, how is Stanley imprinted on the lateral adjust? So this is going to be considered horizontal, which can be counterintuitive maybe. That's considered horizontal. And if you're curious what it looks like, just in case, and they do show pictures on Wood and Shop, that's what the vertical one looks like. And that vertical one, of course, is going to tell you that it's a type 19, which is also another video. But for this one, it's imprinted vertically. And so when I say no, it's going to say, okay, you have a type 16 through 18. It will ask me if I have diagonal knurling on the blade adjustment knob. That's what the diagonal knurling looks like. And I will say no, and it will say, do I see the cheap wartime features? So the hard rubber right here is the main one that you're looking for, but incidentally, also the steel screws, and they don't have the brass. It'll ask you that, and if you say yes, which is the case here, then it will say, okay, you have a type 17, which is what this plane is. And most folks are going to know that on site right there. But if you're brand new to hand planes and you're brand new to typing, then of course you're not necessarily going to know that, which is going to lead you to think that this could be a type 15 as the logic tree dictates. And with all of that out of the way, let me go ahead and show y'all a couple other things about the type 15s that will help you distinguish. One of the things, and when you're typing a plane, of course, you want to go as much as possible off the body and then the frog, you know, in that order. Body number 1, frog number 2. But in this case, you do have to look at some of the other things because the bodies are so similar when we get into this range. So a true type 15 is going to have a nickel-plated lever cap, which this one is mostly worn. So it's going to have a nickel-plated, and it's going to be a keyhole Stanley. So if you see a kidney hole, that's your hint that it's probably not a type 15. It could be because somebody could have swapped the cap, but chances are if you've got a kidney hole, it's probably not a type 15. And then a type 15 is also still going to have the SW or sweetheart iron. I have a whole nother video out there about just the 3 different types of SW or sweetheart irons. Y'all can go watch that video. But the biggest thing is going to be the frog. This right here is the older style frog that you're going to see on your type 10s through type 15s. And as you can see, the top of it is still rounded over like that. Whereas the type 16s and up are going to have what's called the OG style frog. And that's the difference right there. So that is the easiest way to tell if you're in doubt about the raised ring, or excuse me, the raised rib on the heel and toe. Then the next place that you're going to want to look is going to be the frog. Do you have the old style or do you have the OG style? And then your blade, is it the sweetheart or SW logo? And then the keyhole versus the kidney hole for the lever cap. And as I mentioned before, you know, Roger K. Smith based the type study, the original type study, exclusively off of the number 4s, which you'll see right here. But here's the thing. This is the biggest takeaway from the video, even if you don't remember anything else. The larger the size of the plane, so especially your number 6s, your number 7s, your number 8s, the less likely they are to have that raised rib on the heel and toe. They were added later. You're going to see some out there in the wild. As a matter of fact, here I've got a number 6 that has the raised rib, but lo and behold, this is actually a type 19. So the number 6s and number 7s and number 8s didn't get it until much later, and sometimes not at all. So case in point right here, this is a number 6, no raised rib on the toe or heel, but it's got the OG style frog and it's got the kidney hole lever cap. So we know that this one is going to be a type 16 or greater, depending on the other features that you see on there. The the number 3s and the number 5s, as a general rule, do follow the path. So for the most part, most, if not all of the number 3s that I have that have the raised rib on the heel and toe, they follow the same pattern as the 4. The number 5s, you're going to see some, like this right here, you're going to see some that don't have the raised rib, and you might still see an OG style frog on this. And that's another thing too, is Stanley did not follow and change everything all at once. So they might have instituted another feature or introduced another feature, say the raised rib, but didn't go to the frog right away. So, or vice versa. So remember, these are not cut and dried. Always remember, the type study it's like the pirate code. It's a guideline to follow. So you're going to see all types of anomalies out there. I brought this one out to show y'all because this is another number 7. No raised rib on the heel or toe. Of course, it's got the raised ring. But look at that. That's a type 19. That's a type 19 receiver right there. And of course, you might see some of those on the type 18s as well, because same thing. You know, they didn't make all the changes all at once. But mostly considered a type 19 receiver, no raised rib or heel. But you might see another number 7 out there that might have it. So remember, the larger sizes do not follow the so-called rules that we have put in place for the type studies. Just for fun, let me show y'all a couple of other, I guess, kind of variations for non-number 4 size. So this is a number 4.5 size, and I'm considering this one a true type 15 because, as we've talked about, no raised rib on the toe or heel. It does have the keyhole Stanley. Now, granted, that doesn't have the nickel plating, but that could have also been removed by somebody who was restoring the plane. Maybe it was chipped real bad, or it could just be from another plane. You just don't know. A lot can change in, you know, 60, 70, 100 years for the age on some of these planes. It does have the Sweetheart iron, and the tote has been repaired, but I think it looks pretty sharp. Anyway, this one's already sold. It's just waiting to go to its new home, but I'm considering that one a true Type 15. But to the point about not every plane, the non-number 4, is getting all the modifications at the same time. No raised rib is another number 4.5. And as you'll remember, you see the Type 17 feature there with the gutta percha, or the hard rubber blade adjustment knob. Of course, the OG style frog. And this one we know is a Type 17. It's even got the steel right here. And as a side note to that, and I'll do a whole nother, you know, version or type study video on just the the Type 17s. Why do I keep saying that? The Type 17s. But that's going to be non-rosewood most of the time, not all the time. And I've mentioned that in a couple other videos as well. Let's go ahead and just run through these number 4s just because I did take the time to get them out. Remember, we said this is a Type 15 right here, a true Type 15. We talked about all the reasons why. And as a side note, let me show you all something else that they added underneath the tote when we got to the Type 16s. But these are the features that you're going to see. Remember, we said the non-OG style frog. It's going to be the 1.25 inch, the larger brass. You're going to have the frog adjustment back there. It's going to be rosewood. We talked about the lever cap and the blade and all that, the raised ring. And it's going to be the hourglass brass in there. So that's all Type 15 stuff. And then when we go to the Type 16, this is where we really see some big changes to the plane. We're going to have a nickel plated cap, but it's going to be our kidney hole instead of a keyhole. And then you're going to see, most of the time, you're going to see that patent number on the back, which denotes the kidney hole. That's what that is tied to. And you're going to see mostly the BB logo on the iron. I know that's a terrible rendition of that, but you're going to see mostly the BB logo. But the early Type 16s, remember, still had the Sweetheart logo per the original type study. But another big change, the OG frog, talked about that. Still rosewood, still hourglass, still the 1.25 inch, still going to have the frog adjustment, all that good stuff, and the raised rib on the heel and toe that we already talked about. And since the tote is already off of this one, let me go ahead and show y'all. This is what I was talking about. You're also going to have this raised portion right here that goes underneath the tote. That actually coincides with that raised rib back there. And specifically for like the number 3s and number 4s, because as y'all can see in the peripheral here, the number 5s already have, of course that one's a Type 14, but the number 5s already have that raised platform or boss for the tote to sit on. But back to our number 4s here. This one, quiz time. What is it? You know, if you said Type 17, you're spot on. We've got our hard rubber or gutta percha blade adjustment knob. We've got our steel. We've got our non-rosewood. You can see where the varnish or the finish is worn away, and it's no longer looking like rosewood as it wanted to be. Of course, the OG style. But everything else, you know, we've got the raised rib here because it's a number 4, and it actually followed the guidelines that we've now established for the type study. And this is going to be our Type 18 right here. And as you can see, everything is largely the same, at least when it comes to the body and the frog. So the distinguishing characteristic here is going to be that diagonal knurling on that adjustment knob. And still looking, oh, look at that. See, we've got a Type 19 feature, which is the vertical. And again, this is not uncommon to see that. Now, could that have been replaced? Yes, but I would say that Stanley did not change to the diagonal knurling and to the vertical Stanley at the same time. This is upside down, by the way. But they didn't make that change at the same time in the factory, so it's not uncommon to see anomalies like that. So hopefully that has helped kind of joggle some things and help you better understand the type studies and determining type. But chances are your plane is not a Type 15. Now, it may very well be, but now you know some other features to look for in order to verify that it is, in fact, a Type 15. As of the filming of this video, I still owe y'all the type 13 and 14 type study video. With any luck, that one will be coming within the next couple weeks, but I've learned not to make promises on that because I have so many other things going on between my real job and trying to sell y'all hand plane parts. So it is coming, and look for that one. And I hope y'all got some out of this. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing y'all out there on Facebook at Just Plain Fun, the Parts Division, or on YouTube. By all means, visit me on Facebook, show me some anomalies that you've run into, show me your planes, and we can even work together as a group to help you type it if you have any questions. We're always here to help. So thanks everybody for watching. Look forward to seeing you all around.